I was expecting to be at the Meadowglade for 30 days, and it ended up being 7 months. And even though it was 7 months, they were still there throughout the entire time, waiting for me, making sure that I left in good shape and as healthy as I could. From a very young age, I knew something was off about me. And when I was young, I didn't really understand what that was. But as I grew older, I noticed that, I was experiencing the symptoms of depression and anxiety, and ADHD. As I grew up and became a teenager, I noticed that the symptoms became increasingly worse. I noticed that it was very difficult for me to get out of bed, difficult for me to go to school on time. I ended up becoming so severely depressed that I attempted suicide. I attempted suicide while I was in high school, and luckily it was not successful. It did make me realize that I needed more support. I needed help. I wasn't sure what that looked like, but the outpatient center was able to guide me in the right direction, suggested that I admit myself to the Meadowglade. I said, this is the only glimmer of hope that I have in my life right now, so why not pursue it? And so I admitted to the Meadowglade in August of 2022. I was at the Meadowglade for 7 months, and it was quite the journey. The therapists that work here are amazing, and the way that they held their groups was just phenomenal. They were able to handle my very deep Pandora's box of issues, of trauma, and it was hard because some days were just more difficult than others. Some days you couldn't even get out of bed, but they were there for me every step of the way. And when I was not willing to get out of bed, they would come to my room to get me out of bed. They were there whenever I needed them, and they were supportive the entire time. They were so patient with me. For the first couple of months after I left the Meadowglade, I will be honest, it wasn't easy. What I do remember every single day were the teachings that the Meadowglade provided for me. Eventually, the voice of one of my therapists was like, you need to get out of bed. And so that's what I did. I got out of bed and I began to implement everything that I learned at the Meadowglade. I began to reconnect with family. I began to mend friendships, and I began to focus on myself because, despite my mental illness, I knew that I had what it takes to make a change in this world, and I want to be a productive member of society, and I want to change lives just like how the Meadowglade changed my life. If I could write a letter to my younger self, to the person that had not gone through treatment yet, I would tell him to stay the course. I think that everything happens for a reason, and I think it was always meant for me to come to the Meadowglade and get the treatment that I needed to become the person who I am now.